We're going to call the Pownal Select Board meeting to order for the agenda approval, public comment, approval of the minutes 4:18, 4:19, and 4:23, warrants, mail, administrative assistance report, road foreman monthly board meeting, gravel crushing bid, proposal for engineering assistance for road erosion, inventory of culvert inventory. Under old business, ACO, our animal control officer is coming in. Then the DRB alternate appointment and a lister appointment. Then website newsletter under old business. New business, cell phone use by observers policy. B, readopt the local emergency operations plan. And town administrator hiring committee candidate recommendation to the select board.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Anything to be added? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, public comment. None heard. Approval of the minutes of 4:18:18. That was a special meeting. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Get a second.
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes
As amended.
as amended? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 4:19.
Move to approve.
Get a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in, as amended, as all, as all those with the ayes? Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstain, got one abstention. 4:23 minutes. Get a motion to approve,
As amended, right? Motion to
moved.
approve.
as amended, right? Okay.
Second.
Get a second, okay. Any discussion on those? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
abstentions? Okay,
Did I miss your amendment on the 23rd?
That was the one we talked about, appointments.
I think it was a different meeting.
Was it? 23rd was last Thursday.
but yeah, it was with,
Was that was appointments, wasn't it? No. 19th was
no, that's
appointments?
the one with Michael Bratcher and the people that were out.
Oh, no, sorry. No amendment.
Okay. Okay, warrants. Let me get through these. Accounts payable, ending 5/4/18, $7,389.83. Payroll, ending 4/27/18, $9,463.47. Accounts payable, ending 4/27/18, $35,087.11. It was 11,000 moved over to the town of Pownal. 6,000 for Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. BCRC, it's 24.98, almost 25. Those are the large ones. Payroll ending 5/4/18, the amount of $7,512.64. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mail. Where is the mail? Thank you. Okay, we have a newsletter from the Pownal Historical Society in which they talk about where they've looked at a plan of what to do with the old school out on North Pownal Road. They speak of where we've taken down some historical buildings in the past, and they're hoping not to do that with this. They're actually going to come in and present to us a plan to move that building and put a modular next to it for a new town hall. And I'll hold back any real discussion on that until they come here so they can explain what they're doing. But the Pauline Guntrell, who is a designer and general contractor, has been drawing up some of the plans and stuff. So we'll be able to take a look at what their plans are and what they hope to do and recommend to the board. They did speak in there about their meeting with the state inspector and the other things since the meeting that the select board and had gone to a school board meeting to hear about. And one of the things was we wanted to hear what the state inspector was going to say, and they had met with them and they'll report on that as well. Okay, Pownal delinquent sewer tax. Totals. $13,010. Yeah, $13,010.70. That's all 4 quarters, and that's where we are at the moment. All right, property tax. The total for this, and this includes the interest and penalties, is $238,402.89, of which the majority of that is $144,685.89 is for 2017. That's the large part, where people are still trickling their payments. Okay. We have a memorandum from the BCRC in which they billed us for their quarterly amounts. Pownal total cost for the annual cost is $16,061.29 for the services we receive from them.
Which services? Is this for solid waste?
No, I actually think the solid waste stuff.
Okay.
We pay a fee on the solid waste fee.
Right, I know we have several things that they're doing for us, so I was just curious as to which.
Then they show the expenditures on this, for what they expend. This is for their budget itself, for in-house.
Okay.
They talk about their salaries, their phones, their printing, their travel advertising. It's the fee that we pay for them.
Okay.
For other services that they don't charge us for. Economic Development Forum is occurring on June 14th in Killington, Vermont. How can municipal officials help their communities attend goals envisioned for the future with community development is what this is about. If somebody wishes to go. The BCRC is having their annual meeting at the West Mountain Inn, in which the board is invited to go if they wish, and other members of the town. If you do, please let Linda know. They basically will serve you dinner, and then they do their elections of officers and present awards at this one. This is their annual large meeting. Okay. Okay, we have a letter from the Planning Commission that basically states, to whom it may concern, the Pownal Planning Commission has reviewed the changes made to the proposed town plan by the Pownal Select Board at their meeting on April 23rd, 2018, as reflected in the April 24th, 2018 version of the proposed town plan. The Planning Commission finds all the changes in the town plan to be in compliance with Title 24, Chapter 117, 24 VSA 4302. And that was what they had to make sure that we didn't make changes that would not coincide with the state regulations.
Nelson, what time is that
And
meeting?
we have a hearing coming up for the plan
Next week,
May
Which
9th.
one is that?
next
Wednesday, May
Wednesday at,
your hearing, your notice is in there to remind you.
okay, so I'll get to it and read it somewhere in here, okay.
Hey, Nelson, that meeting in Killington, what time is that at?
You tell me you didn't read this mail.
I did, and then I
Actually, you know, it doesn't.
didn't write it down.
It doesn't say on the card.
It doesn't. That's why I didn't write it
Maybe
down.
a day
Oh,
away.
No, but it tells you with the website to go to
Okay.
and look at it, but there is no,
I'll check into it if it's
Thursday,
I'll
June 14th,
possibly
2018.
go. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, any closer would have bit me, right? legal notice, Town of Pownal, Vermont. The Town of Pownal Board of Selectmen will hold 2 public hearings as required for adoption of the town plan. The second public hearing for the town plan has been rescheduled and will be held on Wednesday, May 9th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. at the Pownal Elementary School gym. The full text of the town plan may be examined at the Pownal Town Office during regular business hours and online at the townofpownal.com website. The outline of the new plan is as follows. Acknowledgements. Introduction, our vision for Pownal, population, housing, and economic development, natural resources, land use plan, transportation, community facilities, service utilities, energy, implementation, references, review of statutory requirements, and consistency with other plans. And then it goes on to say the proposed Pownal plan favors zoning changes in 2 sections of the town, and they describe that. Okay, so we expect to see a number of you next Wednesday, May 9th at 6:30 p.m. in the gym. And again, please go online and read it, or come here and grab a plan and take and read through it.
It's probably worth mentioning that that's the last public hearing scheduled, so if anybody has comments, really, that's your last chance to get to say anything about it.
Yep. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Household hazardous waste collection. Okay, this is for Arlington, Bennington, Dorset, Glastonbury, Manchester, Pownal, Rupert, Sandgate, Searsburg, Shaftesbury, Stamford, Sunderland, and Woodford. Will be Saturday, May 12th, 2018 at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bennington Transfer Station, which is 904 Houghton Lane. The collection is free for residents. Proof of residency will be required. Okay, let's see if it says what does not accept. Basically, you can bring all kinds of stuff to this, but it does not accept televisions and computers at this. But you should be aware that these are accepted standard free at our transfer station, so you can bring them there. Just don't bring them to the hazardous waste day. In addition, use motor oil, propane tanks, furniture, bulky items, mattresses, scrap metal, tires, or appliances are accepted for free at the transfer station during regular hours. Don't bring those there either. Okay. Do not bring prescription drugs, Sharpies, needles, dried and hardened latex paint, radioactive material, smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, or explosives, which means ammunition or fireworks. Those are the things not. The rest you're fine with. And again, you're going to have proof of residency from the town you're coming from. Driver's license probably do it. Okay. Route 7. We've got some additional comments to do with the US 7 thing. This is came from the state. Basically what they're looking to do is to add some rumble strips and improve on the signage along the highway. These are the first steps that they're doing to try and improve where we've had those 2 major accidents. And they're conducting a safety review of the roadway characteristics along the details and crashes along that area to might have to do other possible mitigation measures. But right now they want to do signage and talk to the people who are there, because you're limited when they put rumble strips in. They don't put them too close to houses because of the noise. So they're going to talk to the homeowners that live there and see if they can actually put these rumble strips through there. Okay. Town Highway Class Roadway Grant Program. Are you going to talk about these? Or should I read them?
Yeah, well, go ahead. Let's see what that one is.
I have recommended approval of the grant application in the amount of $81,600 for Maple Grove Road project.
Put that one aside, and I'll tell you why after.
Okay. Town Highway Structure Grant. This is for Mount Anthony Road.
We did not yet.
Which is not accepted. Do you need that? Or?
No, we did not get that one.
Okay. But you'll talk about the one we got. Okay. This one here is the application for the hay mulcher bedding chopper.
Yeah, we signed or you saw the letter we put in.
Okay. And the decision expected in first week of
First
June.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think that's the only thing I have in there for the road with it. Okay, I have an Agency of Transportation Department motor vehicle weight permit. Joel has signed off on this and all the numbers have been put on. It is for Maxim Trucking Limited. What's your pleasure?
Move to sign.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Now we got some large ones. This is a guide to community solar, utility private nonprofit project development, energy efficiency, renewable energy. We have reached out to the superintendent of schools in your town about the financial options and benefits of going solar and would welcome the chance to speak to you as well. Power purchase agreements provide nonprofit with solar PV systems. No upfront capital costs. This is another solar group. If you wish to have them come in, we can have them come in and talk to us. Much pleasure. Should we tell Linda to have them come in? Or do you want the school to deal with it first? Because they did say they sent it to the superintendent.
We're already working on one, aren't we?
Well, we're working on one that might do the school, yeah. This is another group. So,
Yeah, it's my thought, is, I mean, we made it pretty clear that we thought we were ahead on solar, and, I mean, when does it stop, I guess? That's the,
so at this point,
I think I'm good where we are right now.
so let's leave this, well, what I'm trying to do is this, why don't we send something to the superintendent of schools that, we'll wait to hear from him on this?
that sounds fair.
Because when he talks about it, he's gonna talk about all the schools in the district. Let him, bring it up to one of the school boards up there. And then they can make a decision on a larger scale than just our small school, which we might already have taken care of. Okay, this is Downs Rackland Martin to do with Vermont Public Utility Commission. We firm represents the new singular wireless. Do you know about this AT&T wireless?
Proposal for AT&T antenna, I believe, at Tower Road.
Okay. Is this different than the one tower that's there now, or is it for on net?
I believe it's a new tower that's there.
Yeah, existing wireless communication is located at well, it says existing wireless communication facility located at 320 Tower Road. Please find enclosed in the original set of AT&T petitions. So they're looking to use the same, the document that accompanied this letter has been filed electronically used. Please let me know if you have any questions related to the project or if there are items that AT&T should supplement. Thank you in advance for assistance with this matter. And it's a typical petition. I don't think the law has changed in the state where we actually have much to say about these anyways. I think all we can do is know that they're coming, and they have to notify us that
I
they're
believe
coming.
they had an antenna already there. The tower was removed and a new one was installed, a taller one, and they have yet to install their part of it back onto it.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's the same.
Yeah, they raised it up. They put a new tower in there, raised it up. That was all okay. They floated balloons for the height
Right.
and all that stuff.
That's right.
That all went through already.
So they're just,
They're just putting on,
Oh.
they said other companies may want to get on that tower when they proposed it. But they were
so they're just
Put it
informing
in
us
there.
that they're gonna put antennas on a tower. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what this is, AT&T. Okay, that's our mail then, guys. Give that to road fund. Administrative report, assistant report. What you got down there, Linda?
Chuck's been working on the office telephone setup for each workstation. The lister's laptop arrived and he'll be in on Friday to set it up and continue work on the telephone system with whatever time's permitting. And I'm pretty much thinking it'll take him a while to get the laptop set up. I contacted and met with MSK regarding the foundation work that needs to be done at the town office. MSK brought a structural engineer and looked at the building. MSK will provide an opinion of probable cost for the project that would include the scope of work, cost for permitting, and bid for the May 10th board meeting.
Okay.
Following the chairman's meeting with Pauline Gutlow and the Historic Society representatives, I was asked to inquire from our insurance carrier the specific requirements for safes relative to a proposal for a new town office. The information requested was supplied, and the Historic Society has requested to come meet with the board on June 14th to present the proposal.
Okay, 14th.
Okay. I did some prep work for our workers' comp audit. The auditor will be down sometime this month. I also coordinated Memorial Day cemetery flower planting and flag replacement with J Landscaping. I'll pick up the flowers and supplies needed during the 3rd week of May. Ralph Mima of Green Lantern requested research on our closed landfills and the Superfund site for the solar field. I supplied that information I had available. Ralph will meet with me at the town office on May 9th to review additional records and get into the safe. Late notices were issued this week for sewer users. 4th quarter sewer billing will go out at the end of the month. I've been working on DOT annual compliance for the drug and alcohol policy. Our CDL drivers will receive a memo Friday for me as the designated employer representative to the requirements needed. And I made some additional edits to the proposed traffic ordinance. Sheriff Smith will review and advise. There's been some discussion about how the excess weight permits fall into place within this ordinance, and more clarity is needed for the open roads. There are sections of roads where property owners are used as points of reference, kind of like in a D,
Yeah.
the stone on the corner. And I'll let you know when I hear back from the Sheriff's Department. I think what needs to happen with the open roads, instead of starting at someone's house, you have to use verbiage beginning at a point and going X amount of feet and whatever down a certain road, that kind of verbiage. When we did the opens roads, that was 1999.
It's a long time
And
ago.
that was a long time ago when they were referred to as so-and-so's house up this road, and it's gotta change.
Now with the GPS and stuff available on phones, you can give a exact spot easily.
Yeah, so, Joel, you have a copy of what I worked on again, and
Okay.
we'll wait for Chad, that's more. I changed to, all our roads are 35 mile an hour and 20, and there was verbiage in there for 40, so I took
Oh.
that out. And Chad will need to check the state, because the state recently changed some speed limits down on 346, did you recall a little while ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something, I don't remember.
So
They're gonna
it's coming, I just wanted the board to know, it's coming along.
Okay, anything else?
No,
Yes. When will the phones be done? This has been going
I
on
don't
forever,
know.
hasn't it?
yeah, it is. Takes time.
Has any of them, I noticed there's some on the
Everybody
deck.
can use their phone. We can all use our phone. They're just not still completely set up.
So, so basically if you're doing conferencing or forwarding and stuff like that, or are those things functioning?
I think the conference phone is available
Well-
to use with the directions that you wanted.
Okay.
They're right there.
I would like to test that out with you, because I do need it next Thursday in order to attend.
I might also, I know I'm not gonna be around Thursday, so if you don't have enough quorum, then I'll call in. If you've got enough, I'm not gonna bother calling.
I will call in if I can. I mean, if we've got the phone to do it.
It'll be, you're gonna have it recorded, so I can watch what happens afterwards. I don't need to be there. Okay. Anything else?
Do you think we need to familiarize ourselves with how this is gonna work?
Oh, yeah.
with
I
how,
think we should talk about it ahead of time, how we're gonna incorporate this into our
Well, but-
meeting, because I don't think I think all of us have a different idea how it's gonna.
Well, I think the proper way I would do this, and I'm sure Bob's done this before too, is we'll set up the phone in the middle of the table, we'll have the person call in before the meeting starts, and then start the meeting. We know when meeting starts at 7, so we can say call in by quarter of, we'll
Okay.
get it started, and we'll move from there.
Okay.
If
yeah,
that's,
and actually that was the entire purpose of the hiring committee. We tested that out.
I mean, I'm only asking because I'm not familiar with it. So you would attend the entire meeting by
By phone.
speakerphone, by
Right.
speakerphone.
Except there's a different, can I speak?
sure.
I read where there's a different thing on your speakerphone in a select board meeting. When you vote on something, you have to identify it. There's just different procedures.
Oh, yeah.
In the way you run your meeting on the speakerphone.
So are we familiar with that? That's my, I guess my question.
Especially if you're running a
I
meeting.
think I just need to identify myself. I need to say, this is Bob Jarvis, Selectman.
You vote aye
And
or
when you
nay.
do a vote, you have to have a roll call vote.
Everybody by name has-
Cities and towns, Linda, there's a.
The
whole
reason
piece
is so
there on
you
how
know
to
who
do it.
votes aye as well, so
Yep.
each of us would have to say as well, our
Yep.
names.
And who's the we who sets up the phone on the table? Just
It's right
basic.
there, we just bring it over and put it on the table.
Linda will have it all set up for us.
Okay.
She'll provide the number that Bob needs to call into.
There's, sometimes one uses the collective we,
And again, I'm
and there's
asking
no
because
specific
you're not gonna
person
be
who's
here.
doing.
So I'm saying I want to be familiar with it ahead of time. I want
Yeah.
to know what I need to.
Yeah, I would make sure that they call in early, okay? And then at that point, when you're running the meeting, if you ask for a vote, then you can say, Bob, did you hear the
Okay.
question? And what's your vote?
Okay. Okay.
That way there, he doesn't have to holler on the phone for you to hear him, you'll actually ask him.
Okay.
So now what,
It's actually very loud,
how
Is it
does,
good?
yes. It is a very good speaker.
how does it work with, say, warrants and letter, mail that
He
you
might
don't get to
abstain from
read?
that
so
because
you'd
he's
have
not
this
here.
to abstain from it?
Yeah,
I
if
just
he's
think we
not-
need to talk out what the
Right.
protocol and what the plan
No,
is.
but,
so.
well, it's up to him whether he wishes to vote on it, but I would abstain from anything that I haven't read or seen, because then I'll abstain, but if somebody's debating something and I'm debating it with them, then I'll want to vote. But otherwise, I'd be abstaining. One of the reasons why I won't be calling in, so people don't, it's because most of the time, that's really what it is, it's warrants and mails and stuff that you go through. Well, I'm not gonna be here to go through that. So I'm gonna depend on the people that are here to do the correct thing, and I'll watch it on YouTube, and if there's something that I think was not correct, I'll bring it up at the next meeting. I'll say something about it when we approve the minutes or something.
Now, if we do have two people calling in, is that phone set up that you can have more than one person call in at a time?
I believe so.
That I don't know, but I'll ask Chuck tomorrow.
Yeah, it should, there's gotta be a conference call type thing on it, so you're gonna
Yeah.
call in more than one person. I'm sure that it does it, most conference phones does, it's just how do we do it?
So that's something that should be
I'm
sorted out before next Thursday.
I agree. I'm thinking we should probably have some type of an understanding. All of us are going to have maybe a protocol on how we're going to do this, so that if someone else, it may be a couple months till we do it again. I want to make sure we're doing it.
Yeah, that'd be good if we had a standard like this that we just keep in our folders.
Yep.
Yeah, the dry run is what, the same thing we did for the hiring committee is we did a dry run to see if it would work, but this would be a little different because then we want to make sure that two or more can dial in. And if it's a regular phone, it might only have on the phone itself
Well, no, the
feature
conference-
of one more person, so only two can dial in.
Yeah.
If it's just like the one we've been using, we've had 7 or 8 call in at the same time.
I'm
Well, you
assuming
can when
this
you
is-
have a
this is-
conference number, but
this-
I don't think we have one of those.
This is what functions now. So it'll go in the middle
Yes,
of the
it does.
table.
Yep.
I think more than one can call in. What we have to do is look at what the method is to put it, because you do have a hold, and usually that's what you do, you hold one and you get the other and you got them in, then you open it up and they all talk. So it has the ability to do that on the phone. The question is someone, Linda, you might need to test it and work with it during the week and then be prepared to do what's necessary. Work with Chuck and just go through it.
Yeah, because it's not the phone
Good.
will do it, but you need to know how to
I can,
run the phone. I don't know how to run it.
We can, if it's all right, I'll just meet you after the meeting, and then we'll set up a time that we can just test it out.
Sure.
Yeah, and then just do it and test it and And if you need 2 people to call in, then call somebody on their cell or whatever, and we'll call in and we'll make sure 2 can do it. It should be fine. It's you're gonna do it right after the meeting.
The only tricky thing is, you know, is what we're reading, you know, if we're going over mail or warrants and things like that. Okay.
You can usually hear pretty well on a conference line.
Okay, good, very good.
Yeah, so, but again, you know, I'll leave it up to each person to do what they wish to do when they call in, but there's only so much you can do over the phone, so. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And I'll have you train me when I come back. Road foreman's monthly board meeting.
So I can meet by telephone from now on, right?
No, you're not elected.
Oh.
You're an employee.
There's nothing saying he's gotta be elected.
It doesn't make a difference whether you're elected or not, but this board would have to approve that.
Just kidding.
So that means if we really need you some night and you're not here for a report, we'll call you up and put you on the speakerphone.
There you go.
You have a phone in the barn there, Joe?
Yeah. Okay. So we started doing a full grade yesterday. We didn't do a lot today because they talked about heavy rains coming and we didn't make a big mess. Yeah. We had a bad spot on Furlong Road where the new blacktop actually cracked and the edge of the road, kind of like Snake Hill, was starting to get down through. So we took out the bad blacktop and stoned and gravelled it. And we've been building on the edge of the road. We're going to seed it and mulch it and try to get something growing to hold it all together. It's not as steep as Furlong or nowhere near as bad, but it was bad enough where it did settle. Cutting and cleaning up trees from the storms, which we all know we had some pretty bad time there. Trying to clean up the intersections from plow damage, you know, with the soft roads and stuff. Upper Skippery Road, we're cutting trees and cleaning a bank up across from Pat Miller. I talked to the landowner. We want to try to ditch. It's kind of a funny thing. It comes down and settles right by his driveway there. There's a culvert up the road. I shot a grade on it. It's actually, the bottom of it's 2 foot lower. So we're going to clean that bank all up and try to ditch it back, and just so we don't have that water. It always washed across the road right there and made a mess. We're working on that now. We talk about the cemeteries and the Memorial Day and stuff. We cut 2 trees that were dead. Jeremiah wanted to cut them on the North Pownal Cemetery. We actually had a big old oak get down on Indian Massacre that day too. Broke off and went down just about by your camp. See where that one went down?
I saw where there was activity down there.
Yeah, that was a big one. And then coming up, we're getting into the road grading full swing this week as long as the weather holds. And we're continuing the work on Upper Skippery. First week in June, we're going to be replacing the culvert on Skippery Road. I'll post it on the website when we are. It'll be closed for at least a day probably. Hopefully I don't have to close it for 2. We should be able to get done within a day on that.
Will you shoot me an email also, and I'll put it on newsletter?
Okay.
Throw it up on social media, get it out as many places as we can.
Yep. I'll try to.
Right.
People can go around anyhow. The gravel crushing, did you get a copy of that?
No, there was only one, so
There's only one bid,
there's
right?
only one.
I
so.
printed one out anyhow, but Basin Brothers was $5.75 cents per yard. It's 23,000 to do 4,000 yards. So Bob Basin signed it. We should sign it.
I get a motion to sign this.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We've already talked about this, we were trying to get bids.
He was the only bidder,
It's okay. There. Sing it down the window.
and we will talk about that again too. This grant for Maple Grove Road, I never received a yay or a nay on South Stream. So I was talking to Bill Botsow on the signage on Burrington Road there for the pedestrians walking. In case everybody doesn't know, Fran Armstrong called in. There's so many people walking and bicycling. She wanted some pedestrian signs put up there. So I did put a couple up there. And I got a couple more I'm gonna put up, big yellow ones, just for people walking. Whether it'll slow the people down or not. So I was talking to him about that, and I asked him about the South Stream Road grant. And he said he didn't know. Well, he looked into it for me. And the fella called me today from the state and said they thought we wanted to prioritize this one, Maple Grove, rather than South Stream. And I said, no, I said the South Stream was a main priority. So he said, we can't do both of them. He said, pick one. So I picked South Stream. So this one may be null and void.
Okay.
And we may go with the South Stream. This one, I think what I'm gonna do, maybe have it ground, half a mile of it, put it in a pile, put stabilization fabric down, put the grindings back down over the road, and see how they do for a year.
And reapply.
And then, yeah, I would either reapply or we could do blacktop it on our own, I guess, or whatever.
This
But
is what, no, this is Maple Grove?
that's
Yeah,
Maple
West.
Grove.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I
It
would reapply.
needs, we talked about with Peckham's guy, just grinding it, putting the grindings right back down, leveling it out and blacktopping over it. But I don't know, Ronnie said they put stabilization cloth on the road, but I found out
Last time that road was done.
They
that was
didn't.
Supposedly what was supposed to happen.
they didn't. Everybody tells me they didn't put it on.
You'll
So,
know the minute you grind to do it.
so if they didn't put it on, it needs it. And I don't think they did. I talked to some pretty
Especially along where
reputable.
that swamp area is out there.
Yeah. So rather than just doing this and wasting the money and not doing it right, I think we'll do it in 2 phases. It was $14,000 to grind it. So it'll be between
Yeah, and
14.
I'm okay with that, and I agree with you, let's let it set, if you have to let it set for a year, do that. But I would reapply being class 2, because now you're talking 2 years out before you do it,
Yeah,
and you might get it, you might not, but I agree with
Yeah.
you too, take the South Stream if they're gonna give it to you now. You know,
well,
it's-
that's our connector road. And like, we had a couple bad accidents and
Yeah.
just things, and that's what they direct the people over is South Stream
I think
Road.
we need to agree with you that is.
It's our main
Yeah.
connector.
Yep, just
So we've
do
been
it.
talking about it for years.
And there's no sense in letting it completely go. If we get this one this year, like you said, who knows
When, I know
when
that's why,
we'll get
that's why I
it.
was glad to hear this will be 2 years out before you ask anyway, so, no, we're fine.
Yeah,
So go ahead and do that. What else you got?
okay. We
You have a proposal there for,
talked about, well, these 2 proposals here, they're not proposals, actually, they are 2 grants that we got. One was for $8,000 and the other's for 76 and change. Jim Henderson came to me. I asked him a while ago because we're not really behind. We have enough time, but I'd like to get these inventories done. And Jim's been, last year he said, we'll get to it. Well, he come to me this year and he said he's going to be busy. The engineer we use, Tyler Billingsley from East Engineering, will do that for the same price.
Okay. You'll do it right away?
And it's we have to wait a little bit on the second one. The first one
we've already.
But he wants to do them both together.
Okay.
So he'll be getting close to $16,000. 76, 78 on the road erosion and 8,000 on the culvert.
When did he say he would have it done by?
He's gonna start probably in a month or so.
So he'll have it done this year?
Yeah, this summer, yeah. Well, I don't know, did you read it?
It's in your pouch there.
Well, I didn't know if you read it.
You have that in your pack.
Can we?
The goal of the final roadway erosion capital budget plan is to document prior to, okay, I got ahead of myself.
A grant.
Road erosion grant will be utilized to create a town-wide road inventory, and capital budget plan will be used for the compliance with the Agency of Natural Resources, Department of Environmental Conservation. Municipal roads general permit has recently been released by the state. However, the application materials are still being drafted. The MRGP is required by Act 64, which was passed to improve water quality throughout the state. East Engineering will work with representatives from the A&R and DEC, V-Trans, and the town to ensure that the final plan is comprehensive and acceptable for future use by Pownal. Roads will be reviewed and documented to identify priority sites. Specifically, hydraulically connected roads will be inventoried to determine how runoff waters of the state can be improved. Pownal has over 76 miles of road with many hydrologically connected road segments ranging from no measured risk to high risk. The large quantity of hydrologically connected road segments is due to geographic location of the town, which has many streams, rivers, and ponds. Priority areas with a higher risk will be documented along with proposed solutions and include cost estimates to improve any deficient road segments. The existing culvert inventory previously completed by the BCRC will be updated through a separate V-Trans Better Road Grant fieldwork, including site observations.
You're reading the contract? Is that what you're reading?
Yeah,
'Cause I don't have that.
what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't have the contract. I have the grants, but I don't
But anyhow, so
find the contract.
I mean, if you're good with it, I mean,
East Engineering can begin once Pownal authorizes this agreement. It's expected that the field work will be completed this summer. After the initial site work is completed, a draft report will be completed for Pownal's review. A final report will be completed based on feedback provided from the draft report. It's estimated the final report will be completed in 2 or 3 months from the authorization of the work to begin.
That was the question. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, I
when
know,
they had
I
it
had to
done.
read through.
Because that's what I'm looking for.
Well, just so everybody kind of understands what we're doing.
Yep.
When we get these two done, next year I will put in the grant for the capital plan, the master plan, which I think is around $20,000.
so that's
so-
something we need to think about budget time.
This is,
Well, yeah, we get it together.
they should, one of the things we should state too is that these things that we're doing are now state required.
Yes. Yes.
The regulations they passed makes the town do these, and that's why the grants are there. And you apply for the grants, and what you find in some cases, some of these grants won't cover all the things that the state has required. I don't know where we are with the plan. I know you said it was like 20 grand or something just a minute ago.
Yeah, but that'll be next year.
Yeah, but we have to apply for that grant. And
No, well, yes, I do. That'll be the next phase after we get these two done. The next phase will be putting together that capital plan.
Okay. Yeah, and what, the reason why I say these things like this, really, when we put together our road budgets and stuff like that, we're not putting in the revenue of a grant because we don't know if we got the grant yet or not. But you can increase your road budget by 20,000 because you're planning to do this project.
That's right.
So just, when you get to the budget phase, realize
Yeah.
that some of these increases, but we do get some of the money back.
Right.
Well, I'll find out more about that as we go along.
But
As
now
far
to-
as the master
now let's
plan,
focus on-
Shasberry just did
Let's
one.
focus on the ones that we have in front of us, okay? Basically, there were 2 grants, and what this person is gonna do is both the road erosion inventory and the culvert inventory.
Yes.
And it's gonna be done by this year. That's the
Yes.
basis.
Now, and we have a match or a 20% match on
Yes.
both of them.
That's
Yes.
right.
Can we do any of that in kind service? Can we put someone with our engineer to work with them and use that towards our?
Maybe some, the BCRC didn't want that. Maybe with Tyler, we can.
Okay. I'm just wondering,
BCRC
anything to
did-
offset that?
Made it, yeah,
We can offset that $4,000.
they made it clear they
That's a
didn't
good question.
want it to
What's
meet.
that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think,
like I said, they don't pay for everything.
well, I'm gonna have to bring him around, I'm sure, because he's not familiar with the roads.
Well, the question
area.
is, you know, if
Somewhat,
it says match or in kind.
yeah,
So it does mean that if you're working with him, there's probably a charge off for your time that could be for those $2,000.
exactly,
We just
exactly.
need to make sure that we keep track of what we're doing for these 2 projects.
Yeah, because it'll
And make
be
sure that
$3
they're,
grand or so,
yeah, there
yeah.
were, well, there's 2 on each one. One's 1,900, the other's 2
Right.
grand.
Yeah.
So, but again, as you know, in the business out there, it doesn't take long to spend 2,000
Yeah,
bucks.
yeah,
So, but it'd be nice that we could record that to show that it's an in-kind type of match versus us having to front the cash.
Well, we do that anyhow, I always try to.
Okay. With that said, I need a motion to go ahead and sign this contract to have East Engineering do that work.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you can pass that down to Linda too.
Actually, I'll put it back in the file here, and
Okay.
get this whole file to her.
She'll be happy to have it all together.
So let's put this one back in there.
Okay.
One thing we should think about is our limits when we put things out to bid. Like the gravel purchase actually cost us time and it cost us more money by not being able to do it, you know, nobody else bid anyhow.
We're restricted by state statute.
No, we're not, are we?
For
we're
up to what
restricted.
type of money, or is it our policy that's restricted?
That's your policy.
Our policy.
Bennington just changed some of theirs.
Up to how much?
I don't know.
Ours?
You?
I thought there was a state requirement where you had to
No,
go
it's our
to.
own.
It's
I
our
looked
own.
into it also. But I think that's a whole nother subject to talk about our purchasing.
But it's something to just think about.
Well,
You know, it's not that we're gonna do it and not bring it before the board. It's so we can sit here like that, you know, gravel purchase. It would have been less money and more timely to do it.
we know
weeks
that, we know
ago
that
when we-
now. The question would be is if you had another bidder and it was lower. The people that are watching
Well,
want
yeah,
to make sure
you're right
that
there.
you,
Yeah, yeah.
you process this in a way that gives everybody a fair chance to bid. And at the same time,
But it costs us a
Do
lot
it,
of money
in this case
to
it
put it
did.
out to bid.
in this
and-
case it did. But basically, there might be a case where it doesn't. So you have to weigh the two. I think it's the dollar amount that we have to look at.
Yeah,
and
no,
go.
that's what I'm
And I thought
saying,
there was
yeah.
a state thing, that regulation from years ago. I remember Norma Rates coming and beating us up because we didn't put something to bid, but it might have been ours.
Well, it's something to think about.
I think
whether
some
you
of it
want-
too is whether we put it out for bid or we have a competitive pricing policy. In other words, if we're gonna
That's
purchase
right.
something, if we have 3 estimates, written estimates, I mean, I think a lot of times putting it out to bid takes a lot longer. I think
It's costly.
some of the things we're putting out to bid and putting in the newspaper, we're wasting money by putting in the newspaper. I think we're not consistent about it. I think
But the one piece that I heard you say that I'm okay with is if you go somewhere and you've asked 3 different companies and you have estimates
Yeah,
from 3 different
yeah.
companies, you sort of have done the bidding process without going the full bidding
Sure,
process.
that's right. I think it's a competitive purchasing is what we want to call it. I don't know if we want to call it a bid process.
Well, we
I
want
think a bid
competitive.
process is on a $200,000 truck, or a
Yeah.
substantial amount of money. We're going to hire an engineer or something like that. But I think for us just a purchase, I think we would call it.
Well, but then again, again, we're talking sort of about how to change policy, but that might be the way you change the policy, is that basically you have to show that it's competitive, that you come in with at least 3 estimates.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you send it out to bid, you don't need to say the word bidding, but you do need to say that you have at least 3 estimates
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
anything that's up to a
That's
certain amount. And
agreeable.
I think it was 10,000 or something like that, I remember in my
Yes.
head.
Yes.
That's what it was for us, I think, 10 grand.
Yeah, and I think it's reasonable if you come in with 3 estimates, then we can make a decision. But if you come in with 1 estimate and say, hey, here's the guy I wanna go with, then I think we, as a board, has to
Well,
decide.
And I think the other thing too is that we can't wait to the last minute when we need our gravel to put it out to bid. It's something that's got to be done, somehow
Well,
or another.
that was,
Remind ourselves it needs to be done in January, or it needs to be.
well,
done in
that was
February.
because
You were working on an arrangement.
working on our arrangement is why we were late this year, and we
Still
still,
are working on the arrangement. Basically, yeah, well, and you speak of that, but we know we're gonna need sand next winter. I mean, there's things
Well,
that
I know.
we can start preparing for. But again, it's back to the original question would be is where this board wants to change its bidding process or not. And I don't want you to make that decision tonight, but think about that. Where's the dollar amount? Is 10,000 nowadays? That thing's probably been
I
on the
think we
book
need
for a
to,
long
I
time.
think if we get a chance, we should all get a copy of what we have right now and kind of look it over and get an
yeah,
idea and talk about
it may be a little antiquated. And just see what other people are doing.
It also might be that we have to say our goal is to get 3 estimates, because if like this one, we only got 1, so we can't have a requirement.
That's the only,
for
but
3
what do you
estimates.
do?
And I'm okay with, I'm just saying that we have to show that we're doing something
Right,
besides, oh God, my brother-in-law wants this, so I'm gonna let him do it,
yeah.
because I know he's cheap.
That's the only price I could get. I mean, just
Yeah.
bottom line, whether
Yeah,
we
and
put it out
showed
or not.
And it showed
that
it in the
was-
bid process.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again,
Why
I'm,
we set that policy up was due to the warehouse thing was getting a little shady. That's why it was set up. We put cars right on there.
that's good. And
That's
and
why
I
it was
agree.
set up, and we should have something to keep people honest. My brother-in-law, or or whatever.
I
We gotta have something to.
I know, it could be my
Write it out.
son-in-law hauling something, I
And
just don't
mind
want
getting
it.
3 estimates for 3 competitive bid, like Jason was just talking about. And I think in the paper, Bennington raised theirs to 100 grand. I read it in the newspaper. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Just the other day.
there was definitely an article.
But they also
on
have,
the numbers.
they also have a town manager.
They got it, that's right. They
Yeah.
mentioned that after it's gone by the town manager and everything, then that's a different
And it's
deal.
also been pre-budgeted, pre-approved, basically through the budget process. It's been planned ahead of time. It's not a surprise.
Well, the gravel has too.
Sure, no, I agree, I agree.
I was thinking of maybe going up to 25 with it, but like I said, think about it.
That
in-
policy ain't that old, you know what I mean? The one we have. I know you people that make big money, it's easy for you, but the guys that,
Well, no, I'd say that's fine, Ronnie. If you don't want to do it, it was just a suggestion, you know?
well,
I
they
think we
tell them
that's
to get a
fine.
competitive bid. They
Yeah,
ain't gotta run it through the newspaper. You get competitive bids, as long
Yeah.
as we're getting them from, but I don't wanna see another deal like that deal that was gonna happen at the warehouse. It didn't, but it was going to.
I didn't know anything.
Let's,
It was for
Okay.
my time.
yeah, I don't remember it, so.
Also, I think that when we have a town administrator, it's going to shift how that's going to work anyway, and
Yes.
what they can approve, or what they need to have us approve, or what we tell them. So it might wait till we have that in place to come back to this discussion of process.
Well,
Well, I
I'm
think
sure
it-
he'll want to debate whatever our policies are, so it'd be nice if
Or
we
she.
could, or she, if we understand the policy that we're gonna talk to him and debate on, might be a good thing.
Yeah, right.
That's all.
We should have something for somebody to work with.
That's right.
Like I say, we have policies, but I don't think too many people read them. Because they weren't gone through that many years ago.
Yeah.
6, 7 years ago. They could pretty much tell the date, right around the time that.
We just
some man
looked at
died.
them a year ago, Ronnie.
I know, we
They
just
were
looked at 'em.
overwhelmingly out of date. We were gonna thought about maybe doing,
But
looking at them.
They were drawn up only about 7, 8 years ago. And you know, and I think the people that worked on that did a pretty good job.
I'm not saying they didn't, I'm just saying,
Well, they weren't out of date as far as I was concerned. They were brought in from different people's experiences. You got a person that works for a public thing. You got people that work for private people and things like that. That's where all them policy things came up.
But that was way back when Bobby Pudmire was
No, it
in, I
wasn't.
think.
No, they
it wasn't.
reviewed-
This was
they
back
reviewed
when
'em.
Dale Palmer died. Dale
like
Palmer was a,
2014.
Oh,
very,
well, that's
instrumental
pretty
on
new.
that. And that
Sure.
wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, don't tell me the thing is all antique.
there
this
was,
thing.
there was policies and stuff that was here back when Pudbar and the rest was there. The thing was, they were completely reviewed, if I understand it, when Palmer went through them. Did he talk with the leagues of cities and towns too, I think?
That's
all
right. He did a lot of research on it.
So it was
He
all
was a
reviewed.
computer guy. He did, and I think.
I don't know how much was
Halfway
changed, but
decent
there was
guy.
things that were reviewed and
Yeah,
redone.
yeah, well, I just think it'd be something you guys could decide on.
Well, I think we can
you know,
review it again. It never hurts.
rather than,
so again, could we each get a copy of that, and then we can talk about it at another meeting, we can, table it and discuss it, and we have something to look at.
That was something that was supposed to be kept in your folders.
Yeah, the policies.
So I never had it, so.
We got new members now too,
Yeah.
from that time.
Well, you just got here. How could you have had it unless you came up and asked
That's
for a
right.
policy?
I'd have to know that there's a
You'd have to
policy
know
to ask
something
for.
existed, wouldn't you? That's what I'm saying. So we don't expect you to.
Yeah, that's a whole other
I'm
thing.
vocal about it because I was here when they did it.
Okay. Anything else?
nope,
Thank you very much.
unless you can think of anything.
Oh, I have one thing, I did have someone, the parking area here, people are parking along the cemetery, and they're backing into branches off the trees. We could do something.
You wanna trim them down
We
some?
could, wherever it's happening.
Whatever you need to do.
Someone did mention it.
Yeah.
Protect the trees so they
So
don't
when
break
cars
off.
pull into the
Yeah.
parking spot, I wanted to.
Yeah, so they don't, if they break off the tree where they shouldn't or something.
Yep.
Thanks.
That.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Good evening.
ACO. Want to introduce yourself and tell us what you're here for?
Oh, I'm Steve Zellman, the dog catcher. And I was here to try and get paid for buying this stuff for Pownal Animal Control. I made a bill. I think I got a pretty good deal on all this stuff. It's a little hard to price the houses
Have you,
as far as...
do you have some now already? I thought you.
Oh, I have the
getting-
pictures of everything installed now. Yeah, and I changed the fence out. I didn't go with that New York fence. I brought it home for myself, but I got a better fence for the town. The real thing.
64 linear feet.
Oh, it's heavy. Unbelievably heavy. Brutal.
So if I
Not
read
like
this
that other
thing,
stuff.
everything that you bought, purchased so far added up to what? $3,000?
Yeah. Yeah, I went a little over, but I was planning to bring it in at 28 there.
So explain to us, you now have a fenced in area?
Yeah, here's the pictures. I don't know. I put them on Facebook. Nobody looked at that, I guess.
Bring it up. Is it on your webpage? Your Facebook
yeah.
page? Okay, we can bring it up. Let's see.
Those are older. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's the stuff.
It's good. That's
It's a
what we
little
wanted to
different.
see, was a good
Got rid
fence.
of the Jetta a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah, the town fence needs a little more work. See, this is that fence we got. 7 foot tall, it goes with the new house, perfect.
But it's all usable right now and
That's in
functional?
place, so I gotta do a little more filling around the,
Bottom.
that stuff's working, but
Okay,
right around the driveway, right at the
Okay.
house part,
okay,
sort of behind the house,
okay,
or up in this corner, I gotta do, that's what the pug is there.
okay,
It's going pretty well. The neighbor's got a big pile of stone up there.
okay.
that
Where
can
is it? I
use.
haven't seen it. Is it in front of your house?
It's kind of in back. This is
'cause
directly
I
in
haven't-
back.
I don't.
And that's
haven't
off
seen it.
to the side.
Yeah.
So it's behind where the Jetta used to be, the big house. This one.
Do you guys want to see it?
Thanks.
I was looking over your shoulder. I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
if, Ronnie wants to see it.
Ron, do you want to see the pictures?
I got a little stain. I had to put it up on skids. Which I got from Southampton there, and the big house already had skids, but I put it on skids in the
Yeah,
coop
looks
there.
good.
That's what we wanted to
level
see.
it
We
up
wanted to
to-
see something done.
Okay.
Great.
Well, that's why I waited to get it done before I come in with the bill. All right.
I make a motion, we,
I got this good deal on the
we
fence just
reimburse
Monday.
Steve on
Couldn't
that.
believe it.
I second it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the fence
Do
pretty
we know
much
if,
covers it.
I
Those
mean,
houses.
We do know that this adheres to all the requirements, though, right? I mean, was able to find a requirements document from the state of Vermont on
Really?
how houses have to be, or how animals have to be housed and
Yep.
what the requirements are.
You gotta have fencing, you gotta have, for running.
Right, it's like an 9-page document that
Yep.
goes through. So I guess, don't we need to know that this adheres to everything in the requirement?
For the 3 days that he's keeping it, we're not building a kennel.
All right.
First
Yeah,
of
I'm
all,
not familiar with this document. 8
Yeah,
pages.
yeah, that's-
As far as I
we're
know.
not gonna have a kennel.
Keep them alive is my goal.
What we're doing here
I
is
think
we're
we had that
having,
document.
this is a
over when we were
holding-
talking about
like
the
a holding
kennel
cell.
building.
This is a holding cell.
What's that?
We have
so
the
so it doesn't need all
when we-
the 10 pages that
Oh,
you're talking
maybe.
about. Otherwise, we have to have heating, you have to have,
Right.
That's actually what I was
Lighting,
reading,
water.
and that's what I
Yeah.
thought we were doing.
no, we're not gonna
No,
build a
we can't
kennel.
do that.
Okay, okay, all right.
Now, these coops are insulated though.
Okay,
But
Which
these are
makes a big
insulated enough
difference.
to keep them out of the
Nobody does
weather. They
that
got
around.
water and food.
And you can actually add heat with a
And you
heat
keep them
lamp.
3 days, is that right?
5
5 days.
and more.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes longer, you know, if they're sick or something. If they have mange, those dogs, I might end up keeping 3 weeks, or which is why you need the 2.
Gotta
One,
keep,
Yeah,
gotta
you're
you
in
keep,
can't go
trouble.
to a facility.
yeah, they won't accept them until he.
well,
So
you
this
can
is
bring
two
it to a
separate
vet
areas right
and
now.
pay
We-
a lot.
All right, but hold it, now,
so you can, you can separate to 2,
Oh, there's 2 separate, yeah.
perfect. Okay, I'm good with it.
Great.
okay,
Yeah.
which is what you
I
need.
still need a little
So I
bit
had a
from the
motion,
town
I had a
fence.
second,
Yes, sir.
okay?
What's the total amount?
$3,000 to reimburse them. You can actually send that down and she can put it in her records.
It's actually
Any
a
further
6
discussion?
6-page document.
That's
no
better
worries.
than 6 pages.
All those in favor say aye,
Hi.
and be aware this is not a kennel that we're building to raise
It's a coop
animals or have.
system is what it is. It's what the Humane Society recommends for a town with our demographics for the, and they say, they teach us at the training, you gotta talk the town into spending between 20 and 30 grand to go with the coop system and tell them that then they save money.
Yeah.
If you did that. You'll make it back in no time.
Yeah.
But the way I'm trying to sell it is these houses will appreciate from what we paid over time.
The other question I had for you a while back is are you all equipped now? You have tools, you have everything you need now?
Like I say, I have a little more work to do on the town panel fences.
No, I mean,
can
on being
upgrade
an ACO, do you have all you need now? Do you have a catch pole and you have your proper equipment?
those. Yeah, as
Okay.
much as I need
Okay,
so
You,
far.
you have a,
I don't
you have a
have traps and
uniform,
stuff.
you have clothing, shoes, all the things that
I
you need,
usually
like,
dress a little better, yeah. than this.
okay.
but do you need, we bought your uniform one time, do you need a new one for that sort of stuff?
Oh, you had me like wear the proletariat suit, the overalls, right?
Yeah, do you need anything like that to
Right.
protect you for animals, or?
No, that's not a good idea. Dogs bite people in overalls,
Alright,
like beards. It's not prudent.
alright, I
Very
just
good,
wanna,
just wanna make-
if you need something, we wanna make sure that we okay it so that you can buy those things too if you need them. You know, the work boots, anything around the animals, some people wear the leather boots so they're biting and the rest, but you don't need any of that.
Slow you down.
All right, just so you're the one that, I don't want you to come back and say we didn't offer. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, moving on. We have a person that is looking for the DRB alternate appointment, John Bashir. What's your pleasure, guys?
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We also have a letter from Sharon Nichols, would like to be considered for the one-year position of lister. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we appoint her.
Get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye on both of me. Okay, moving on. Website newsletter.
Nelson requested the school board to have a page on the website. We have a dummy version of it ready to go. Anyone have any issue with putting that up?
Basically what it's for is when they have, it's under the departments, and if you look at it, it's for when they have dances or other things of that nature that they do over there, just so people can find it on the webpage, because they don't have a webpage of their own. You okay with that?
Do we
Okay
need a
with that.
motion or just say okay?
As long as everybody's okay with it,
It's fine.
Do we have a space for community events on the webpage?
No.
Probably fall under that, and other people could also post.
yep.
And,
Well, the school
Not
has
just-
things like on a roll.
Yeah, but not just
but
the
if
school, but-
fundraisers
yeah,
or
if there's
community
if
fundraisers,
Rescue
something
Squad's
like
doing
that.
something, or other
Right.
fundraisers.
Well, that might be in addition too.
That could be under community resources.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. So everyone
I
good
think-
with that? Having her make
I
that?
think so.
All right.
Okay.
Sure, with some caveats.
Okay, what's the caveat?
Well, the newsletter, I think, as you know, I'm a big proponent of the newsletter.
Wait,
I
we're on
think
the
you've
we're on the
done-
website first.
Okay, okay.
So then we'll go to newsletter.
But I think the website and newsletter would have the same concepts of making sure that it's completely nonpartisan.
Oh.
So
Oh, okay.
community events can be partisan. We need to be mindful of that. Other community events aren't. I mean, a dance is a dance. A school board things are school board things. But I think we have an obligation to be nonpartisan with both the website and the newsletter. And I did want to talk about the newsletter a little more.
Sure.
Okay.
How do we determine what's partisan? Do we allow a church to put up an event?
Well, of course.
Okay. What's a partisan? What would you consider to
Someone
be?
running for a campaign for representative should not be advertising on your website.
Of course.
Yeah, that's
I
the
think
obvious choice.
that's obvious. But what's less obvious?
Well, I think
There are going to be things that are going to be less obvious.
Well, and before we put it on the newsletter, we usually run by us anyway.
Right,
So if
exactly.
there's something that flares up that way, we'll talk about it.
And I think same thing with the website. It always goes before getting put on the website. It gets run by the board.
Yes, that's true. That's
So
true.
I think that we
So
can
if there's
deal
something
with
that
it on
comes
a
up that way, then we need
case-by-case.
we need to take and be able to address that at that time. Yeah,
This is all about the newsletter.
It is. So I'll
Okay.
wait till we get to the newsletter.
I think we're done with the website. Anyone else
Yeah.
need anything put up on the website? So we're going to put up a school board, its own page, and then a community events page.
yes.
Super.
But can we also have the community events in the newsletter?
I put them. Yeah.
Put
I
some-
mean, I put them in.
Okay.
And that's, yeah, and I agree with that. Anything that's appropriate for the website is of course appropriate for the newsletter.
Good.
Okay, all newsletters should be approved by the select board in a
Well,
vote.
let me,
Regular.
before you get into that, this is just meant to solicit feedback and generate some discussion.
Okay.
The newsletter is really nice. I like the fact that we have a newsletter. I like that we're reaching out to the community. But I think we need to have a content discussion as well, and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and make sure that we're following some guidelines
Okay.
when it comes to the newsletter. And I'm looking for feedback. I'm not proposing this yet. I think
Do you want us to discuss these tonight, or do you want people to go away and look at these and think about it and
I
write
would
comments?
well, I can start the discussion by going through this, and then we can talk about, and then that'll give you food for thought, and maybe we can come back again and talk about it or vote on it,
Okay.
or even get feedback on it. So if I could just read through this.
Sure.
To start with, I think, first of all, it's a newsletter is a great way to help keep Pownal residents informed on current issues, meetings, and what's going on in town. Regular information from the town, widely distributed, can help keep citizens active in government, which we want, and is also a great way to solicit feedback on important issues. And I saw that with some example newsletters as well, so I'm going to do a little bit of editorializing as I'm going through this. I did look at other newsletters, and a lot of towns, the most frequent I found was monthly. A lot of them were quarterly. A little more than half were monthly, and some of them were quarterly newsletters. I'm not sure what we want to do with this. Maybe weekly is the right approach. But in that way, I think I have, right now, the newsletter to me reads like a really good private newsletter, but it doesn't read like it's a product of a town government. And if I can go through some of these bullet points, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Okay.
First off, I think the newsletter should be approved by the board in a regular select board. We ought to be voting on the newsletter.
We have been doing that every week.
Yeah, we look for agreement and we nod, but we don't vote.
I think we're getting way over. Okay, but we'll talk about
Okay.
that.
We'll
So,
talk.
next.
And that's just, and this is to solicit feedback. So,
Okay.
so
Next.
certainly, if that's and I think we need to look at the free feedback. But some of the content, I don't think it's appropriate to have in first person. One thing I would point out is it's a newsletter from the town of Pownal, and right now it reads as though it's from the select board.
No.
Okay.
I'll hold the comments.
I mean, some of
Wait
these
till we
things
get through
seem
it.
kind of obvious to me, but maybe I'm wrong. It does, and I don't think we should be selling things on it. The purpose of the newsletter is really to make sure that the people of Pownal are informed on what we're doing. So I don't think it's appropriate to say things like, we did a great job with this, or we did a great job with that. It's good to give an update that we've done something, and what our next step is. For example, last week started with the great work we did with the town plan. I don't think we should be telling the people of Pownal that we did a great job with the town plan. We should be soliciting their feedback so they come to the May 9th meeting and give us their input.
So when,
Does that make sense?
so when we talk about approving this thing before we put it up, whatever it is, at that time, if you feel that way, that, you know, we can edit the document if we need to, but how would you have, let people know that the planning commission and the people of the town did come in and do a great job? How would you?
I don't think it's up to us to tell the people that we did a great job. They can watch the meeting.
I'm talking about how do we tell that the planning board and the people that came in here did a great job in helping us?
I think after it gets approved, it might be great. We did a great job. We approved it.
But that's us at that point. My view is that the newsletter,
Hang on.
and I have to go back and see how it was written, but what I would hope it would be doing is informing everybody that worked on the town plan that they participated, did a good job, and we were glad to have them come in, and we hope that they come to the other things that
That
we do.
was the intent.
Well,
Yeah,
but the
it-
verbiage, how was the verbiage, I guess is what he's,
Okay, we had a final work session on the town plan. It's been a lengthy process, but we just wanted to be sure to get it right. Well, we don't know if we got it right yet. We still are soliciting feedback. This is what it said. It is now uploaded to the website and up for the vote of the select board after the next public hearing about it on May 9th. Now, my feedback, I thought we should have said, the latest version of the proposed town plan is available on the town website. The final public hearing is scheduled for May 9th at 6:30 at the Pownal Elementary School. So there's a big difference between those two phrases.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Sure.
sure.
I am spending hours on this newsletter by myself without input from anyone else on this board.
I gave you all this input. I even
Oh, no,
rewrote it
that's,
and
no,
gave
no,
you
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
oh.
That's not what I mean.
One at a time.
You sent me an email telling me what I should be doing with the newsletter. I ignore those emails because that's a discussion for here. That was, please give me any typos or any corrections, as Jason did. But sending me this stuff in an email is not, that's not giving feedback to, is this newsletter good to go?
Well, I guess where I would look at the feedback is to what he just provided now, that I would think that the wording would be better for this paragraph if it said this.
Sure.
That is valid. a list of bullet items doesn't help me
Well, no,
edit my
a list of
document.
a list of bullet items, I think, is what this is intended to be, are guidelines. Things like first person shouldn't be in here. Things
Okay,
like
so
links to
can I ask-
Facebook
can I ask-
pages shouldn't be in here. Those are partisan sites. We shouldn't be using the town newsletter to channel traffic to our Facebook pages. I didn't give mine because that's not appropriate it's not appropriate for the website. It's not appropriate for the newsletter.
Okay. Whatever's up there today and whatever's in the newsletters was approved by this board. Now, the question that I'm going to ask, because of what I'm hearing, is if, from what I get this newsletter first, and I assume the whole board does, before we ever post it up, if we truly want to edit something, what we should do is take that item and edit it, just like I did with the town plan when I worked with the planning commission. And the select board, I'm gonna edit it, here's what I think my words
Well,
in this should be.
hang on, if we have some standards, and I think standards are appropriate, like I said, it reads like a very good private newsletter. It does not read like a town of Pownal, like a municipal newsletter. That's, another example is the profiles. I don't think I would ever put a profile out there, and I don't think we ought to be doing profiles for elected officials. What do you do when it gets to be February and it's election time? I mean, this is inappropriate. It's not appropriate for a newsletter. And I looked at the other newsletters. I couldn't find any of them that were doing profiles. I can't find any of them that are doing wedding, birth announcements. The purpose, the reason we wanted to do this newsletter was to make sure that the people of Pownal were informed on what their government is doing and to solicit feedback from the people of Pownal. I think when you do things like things that are traditionally done by church and by community organizations, now you're competing with those organizations for birth announcements, for wedding announcements, for, I mean, that just doesn't seem like an appropriate thing for a government entity.
Okay, hold on. Ronnie, what's your thoughts on this? I know what most of these,
I think the newsletter should be very simplified. I'm sorry, I don't think we should elaborate. I think the people will decide that read this if they like, you know, the majority of people, not everybody. Some people don't like anything, so but they'll decide, did they do a good job or didn't they? We voted on it. Did we do a good job or didn't we? But as far as, you know, saying, hey, look, I mean, who did probably worked any harder than our town hall committee? And we give them a boot. So I mean, I think we should leave this to as short a short message as possible, but get the news out, whatever it is. If you got something going on, you're talking about over at the school or whatever, if there's an event, good, that should be in there. Or we got a meeting here, or we got a special meeting, or we're going to discuss something, fine, but not to give any slant on it, because I don't think that's appropriate. But I don't read this. This is not my. I mean, I'll look at it and try to. And the simpler it is, the better I like it. Because when they elaborate, I don't grasp it. I mean, then I think it does get into more of a, you know, it's a we think. Wow, it isn't what we think here. As far as I'm concerned, when they have an election, the people vote. Sometimes it's close, sometimes it's a long ways away. That's, you know, I mean, that's, but they decide. I know we're and a lot of people, I think, sometimes get to the point where they think because you are an elected official, you're here to represent the people who elected you, not to set your policy. So I think it should be very simple.
There's no policy being set in a newsletter ever.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Thank you.
I've heard nothing but positive on every
As
bit of
have
it.
I.
I haven't heard one, not any constructive criticism. I haven't heard anything whatsoever. I've heard compliments on the profiles, the weekly pro. I think it's great. I think we're going to run out of people to talk about here
Do you
very
think it's
shortly.
appropriate to have profiles for elected officials?
Sure,
They're
absolutely.
bios. They're like, I come from New York City.
Nobody is talking about your political preferences.
No.
It's a simple thing. I looked at the one tonight for the woman. It's a simple thing. It's nothing private. It's the organization she's involved in, and it's it's optional.
I'm sorry, that seems
and it's optional. And I think also you got to look at the fact that, you know, it's gonna be approved by the select board. I think it's crazy. I think we're just
what
micromanaging
about-
this little
hang
thing
on.
down to not, everything we're doing lately is we're just,
And the first person is okay too. And they're gonna send updates to Jenny Doer Select at gmail.com, not to Town of Pownal Newsletter at gmail.com.
and I think the other thing that's important too, that this is an introduction. Eventually, my thought was this is gonna be taken over by our town
Well, that was my
administrator.
thought too, and I thought that this could be a stopgap measure to get us to that point, and maybe just agree on some basic concept. And I started, and I still think
May I
it's a
speak?
great
He keeps going
looking
back to Bob.
newsletter.
I would like to speak.
Yeah,
I've had my hand up,
Again,
and
I
they
gotta-
keep talking.
I wanted Jason to actually.
I know,
be
but
the
now
one.
Bob's talking, and I had my hand up.
Go ahead, say something.
Thank you. I don't see how we're competing. There's no competing with a church making an announcement and a town making an announcement and celebrating the birth of a new Pownal child. The first person, I think you're referring to my initial note that I'm writing. I do this newsletter. I write a little note saying, "Yay, spring." I am excited that 100 people have signed up for the newsletter, and I sign it from me because it is me writing it. We are not doing a newsletter. I am doing a newsletter on our behalf. The town of Pownal at gmail.com. Who then has to read that new yet another email address? Who then goes through it?
Somebody would have to go through it.
Somebody is me. Why do you have a problem with it going to jennydoerselect@gmail.com? I'm
Because
just
that
curious
doesn't
why.
come off as a Town of Pownal newsletter. That
We are
comes
a
off as
tiny
Jenny
little
Doer's
community
newsletter.
town. No, of course it doesn't.
Okay, well.
No one has said that
So
except
let me
you.
give you an example. I mean, the town
You know what?
administrator
Fine. I
committee-
won't do the newsletter. Have it. Do it.
That's,
I don't need to
that's
do
not
it.
what I was looking for.
Well,
I
that's,
think
you
I
know.
think you did an outstanding job getting
Thanks.
this
I don't
thing
need
launched.
you to pat me on the head, Bob.
Hold on.
That was not the intent.
Well, that's how it feels.
The bottom line, I go back to, as long as this board is voting before something's put up, it's fine. And if you feel there's editorial needs at that time, then do that. But if you get it beforehand and you feel there should be something editorially done, send it to all of us. You'll get to see it, and we'll vote when we come here on whether it should be changed to what you're saying or what's in it.
Which I've been doing.
Or she can
yeah.
make the modification before then, and it comes in and says to us, I made this modification.
Yeah.
Sorry, these.
That, to me, says we all have a chance to put something into it. I do agree at some point that it won't be Jenny, it'll be somebody else that'll be doing this.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm with Jason. Everything I've heard about this is positive.
What about links to private pages? I mean, I didn't give my Facebook page, and I'm not going to because that just seems really inappropriate.
That is your choice. My Facebook
it's
page
not a
is not
matter of-
partisan. It is my Facebook profile is me. My Facebook page
Well, of course
is
it's
what's
partisan.
happening
You
in
post your
the town.
ideas and your opinions on all the towns going on. This is, I mean, this just seems so obvious to me that I can't believe I'm getting resisted.
Well,
And it seems
here's-
obvious
here's-
to me that I
here's
can
what-
list my Facebook page.
Well, from what I saw in there was things that was listed, how to contact
Yep.
various selectmen. If somebody wishes to list their Facebook page as part of their contact, that's okay with me. I don't have a problem with that.
Are you
What
okay
I
with
what
that
I
on
would
the
have a
website?
problem with is if all of a sudden your Facebook became the town page. That's not what we're looking for. Your Facebook
Right.
is your Facebook.
Right.
And anybody should be able to look up you or me and go to our Facebook page. I have a Facebook page. If somebody wanted to look it up, they could look it up and see what it is. I don't know if Jason has one or not, but you do. And Ronnie, I know he doesn't know he has one, but he has two that I've seen so far that says Ronnie Biz on Facebook page. But the bottom line is that to me, I don't know where the problem is if somebody. I just don't want people campaigning. It's the issue I would be
Absolutely
concerned
not.
with. That if someone was saying, go to my Facebook page and learn everything about me because I'm running for X,
Absolutely.
That's an issue.
Absolutely.
that shouldn't occur, period. And other than that, if people want to look us up, I don't have any trouble with us listing, just like we do in the town report, here's how you call and contact me. Well,
But that's-
this is
but
my
that's-
here's
if I
my
could-
Facebook page.
It's a big difference between a phone number and an email, which is one-way communication. Somebody has to reach out to you and talk to you, and then you can go back and go, well, you can look at my Facebook page. As opposed to a link to a Facebook page on either our website or the newsletter.
I get back to the fact that we're trying to police social media in some way, and I'm totally against that because even the government can't do it. There's no way that you're going to manage social media.
I'm not asking anybody to manage social media.
But someone to have something that points to someone's webpage,
it's official town correspondence.
If someone wants to speak.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but a couple of things. The newsletter is new to us. We're trying to do a good thing for the town. Yeah, there may be things that we need to change, but we're trying to get the word out. I think we have bigger and better things to do in this town than fight over a newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
2, we could have the information go to our administrative assistant, but then she's got to pass it on to Jenny because Jenny's doing the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
3, when we did our ad for our town administrator, we had all the applicants go to our chairman and he gave his email address and no one else's to maintain confidentiality. So, I mean, it's... Well,
it was in the same vein that I was saying this. It's a new newsletter. It's a really nice newsletter, and I was trying to make it a little bit better and a little bit more professional. That's what these suggestions were for. And I did want to generate some conversation about it, but I'm really amazed that we're okay with the Facebook link. I mean, that's just
Can I just say something?
The bottom line is whatever the board agrees to is what's going to happen, and if we're agreeing to it, we're not going to keep debating it.
Right. I do want to say one thing.
But we didn't agree on that.
I do want to say one thing.
We'll find out in a minute.
That, well, now I lost my train of thought there. One of the things, the way I am contacted the most by members of the town is via Facebook. That is my method of communication. I have people private message me, we have conversations. That's how they reach me, and I'm happy with them reaching me that way. So that's all I have to say about that. And I have no problem, I think there's nothing wrong with that in the world.
It's social media.
It's
It's used for. Okay, so your concern is, should we have links to Facebook pages or other personal web type pages?
Multiple things. I mean, we're drifting away from the purpose of it, which was to tell the town what we're working on. So I did have a couple of other suggestions that are things that are more basic. Things like maybe every one of them should have a static area for town open hours. I actually had thought of the school board thing also. That might be a good thing to have on there. And maybe we want to add things like current calendar and next month calendar of the town calendar and things like that. Just things that we can add to it as we go.
But you already have that
so
on
of course it's evolutionary.
So I have a link on it to the calendar. I don't think we need to then be redundant because the point of a newsletter is to drive people to a website.
No.
Are you talking about website or are you talking about newsletter? Because there's two different, because our website does have a calendar.
Right. And I have a link
But are you
on the
looking-
newsletter to the calendar.
I've gotten a suggestion from somebody in town who thought it'd be a good idea if we printed off copies of these newsletters and left them somewhere. The link won't do you any good there.
I got the same request from probably the same person, and anyone on the board is welcome to volunteer to drive around paper copies of the newsletter, but I think I'm tapped out with creating this for hours a week, so I'm not going to drive around.
No, I mean, we could talk
and
about
post
how
it.
we could do that, but the point being
it wouldn't
is
be
the
you, it would
link
be
to the
someone.
calendar doesn't do any good for a hard copy, and a lot of people don't have it. If we get to the point where somebody's volunteering to distribute them, the link doesn't do you any good.
Well, I guess that my concern, I understand where you're going there, but I would say that if we did that, it'd be like the library, we'd leave a hard copy. We'd leave, just like we leave the town plan at different places.
Exactly.
So you could pick it up in the basket that says this is the
Library,
Pownal
Winchester's
newsletter.
Village Market, the
You know,
town-
there'd be places
town
where
office.
we put it. But that to me is not unreasonable because it's easy enough to print it out. The 3 or 4 copies we would need and then have someone go around with it. No, and that's probably not a bad idea, that piece.
Oh, and I was going to say that I have received overwhelming positive response to this newsletter. And thank you to all of you who have sent me those notes. I appreciate that.
And I've received some concerns and also positive responses.
Yeah, I've heard positive on it. I've had a concern too, but basically, we're going to it.
Oh, I've used links. You type them in, and it works.
Yeah.
But then there's no link anymore to my animal control pages on the town website. I think that should be back to the 3 animal control pages as on Facebook.
Well, you gotta understand, one of them we removed because of a content, a photograph that was on there that was brought to our attention that wasn't appropriate.
Yeah.
That was the reason why. So I think if you were if you would like to do that, I think you'd have to show it to us first and have us
Yeah,
okay it.
I liked your Facebook page because it showed the animals and it discussed where you found them and so forth. That piece was very positive. The piece that we didn't like was the chaining to the car.
Right.
Okay? So that's what we worry about with content. Like Bob worries about the content of the newsletter. We were worried about the content in your animal control thing. Now, it's hard for us to control what you put on your Facebook page because you can do whatever you want. But if we're going to put it up on our link, we control what we put up on ours. So that's the piece, I guess, that I would look at is what are you saying on your website? How does it apply to the town? And then we go from there. And that'd be the same that, who knows, what I have on my website that somebody might find offensive. If that's the case, then I wouldn't want to link to it. I would come into the board and say, hey, look it, I found this offensive of what this person's doing, and we'll take it down. We don't allow it. But that's the only time I could see when we're trying to police it, because he's still going to have his webpage. All we've done is blanked out the link from our site. So that's the part that I see. Okay, so you're asking whether or not we should have links to web pages. Is that what you're want the board to decide tonight?
Sure. I motion that we have no links to personal web pages.
Okay, usually motions are made in the positive.
Oh, okay.
So I make a motion that we can have whatever links to contacting us we like on the newsletter, including to our Facebook pages.
I'll second that.
Okay. Now we can have a discussion, but I think we've already discussed it to length. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, there were 2 motions. Which one are
Your
we?
motion.
Oh,
There was only one motion.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have a second.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay. Nays?
Nay.
I think we're in this too deep. I read the newspaper. I don't mind us having a website. I think that's a wonderful thing for the town. But all this other stuff, it isn't for me personally. So apparently I should say nay because I don't know. How's that?
That's okay. I'll say aye, that we can do it. Okay? So we'll do it, and who knows what, if we get to actually hiring a town administrator, I assume they will want to know what content and probably give us guidance in that anyway.
And I'll happily, once we have a town administrator, my intent is to hand the whole thing over to him or her and not spend all these hours doing it.
Okay.
But I will say that I was late getting it finished today, so I showed it to everybody here. And I will get it to you all on Wednesdays so that you have a chance to look at it before the meetings.
Okay.
So
We
We
won't be
have to
able to, we won't be
approve the one I'm
able to
sending.
approve it on the Wednesday meeting, it'll have to be on the Thursday.
right, I'll send it to you to look at so that we can approve on
Yeah,
Thursdays
because
and it
Wednesday
goes
is a
out on
special meeting
Fridays.
for the town plan.
You're gonna send that? If I wanna receive that, well, I gotta join something, or you're just gonna
You
send it?
can join
How
it,
you
or
gonna
you
do
can
it?
look at the archives on the website. So if
Archives
on the
website.
home page of the website is a link to the sign up, and then underneath the sign up form are the archives of all the newsletters. So you don't actually need to sign up for it to receive
But
it if
he
you don't
needs to
want
see what your draft is.
That's
Oh,
all.
he looked at my computer.
Okay.
Well, you got one of them fancy high-priced computers. I don't have a computer like that. I couldn't run that thing.
He's got an 8088 still yet. I saw it the other day.
I got the old
Floppies.
style system.
He still uses floppies. Okay. Anything else, Bob?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Moving on. Cell phone. Used by observers and policy. What's the question there?
I would like to propose a policy that if we have observers coming to the meetings, that cell phones are not used for texting or accepting calls, obviously. If you need to use or communicate with anybody via cell phone, that I would ask that they go in the other room to do their business. I find it very distracting when people are sitting in front of us and they're like this, because they can't help but react to what they're reading. So
Well, I'd like to go a little further on that.
yeah,
I'd like to see the board not have them either.
I agree.
no-
Shut them off.
Except,
Put them in a basket right there in the
except
middle
Jason
of the thing.
needs it for fire. He has
Because
to
we
have
don't
it
need
for
texting on this
emergencies.
board either.
Oh,
If you
you
need help from the outside, you don't belong here.
I agree.
And what about computers?
I don't understand. I can't keep up with that. I don't. She changes things around.
But I think
send
eventually,
Stevie's
though,
picture.
But I
Eventually.
can send a message to someone on a computer just as well as I can on
Oh,
a
sure
cell
you
phone.
can. I realize that.
So if you're gonna do away with cell phones, are we doing away with computers too?
Well, I think the only reason that you should open one of them up is if you've got something to show the crowd.
Yep.
Just
And
let
and my
me-
phone will do
Other
the,
than
my
that,
phone will
I
do
can't see any
the,
reason why people should be right there doing that. 'Cause
my phone
they're
will do the
communicating.
exact same thing that computer
It
does.
will. I know that, Nelson. I've seen people with them fancy phones. They work
So,
beautiful. They're
I go to the
miniature
web, I
computers.
can do whatever I want with it.
But I don't think that should be. I mean, you come here for a meeting. Usually we're running long, but usually we're here just for maybe an hour. You mean to tell me we can't live without that kind? We ought to think about. We ought to try to run the town
See, that's-
rather than having everybody run us through that.
Can I speak? I agree with you wholeheartedly. I actually think none of us should be communicating with anyone outside of the meeting, but via computer or via cell phone during the meeting. I only have the computer to do things like pulling what we just did, where we could pull up Stephen's pictures right away. That's the only reason I have it
Well,
here,
that's what
and
I
to
mean.
show
If a
the
person like
newsletter.
you got one, Bob's got one. I mean, Nelson's got that handheld thing, so it's the same deal. But if somebody had to look something up, we're all here. We know what you're doing.
Right, exactly.
We don't know what you're doing if you're here. You are.
100%.
Well,
I agree with you.
I- that kind of
agree.
I understand that we shouldn't be in communications, texting back and forth to someone.
That's right.
But
That's wrong.
that's different than not having your cell phone turned on. I'm on call 7x24. Just like
I'm
he
on
is for his
call every
fire.
other week.
So are a lot of people who work, and we're making ourselves less available to people who need to communicate with their babysitter, with their kids, make sure they're okay. And even if you're on call, we're making ourselves less available. There shouldn't be inappropriate activity in here, but we should, that should be a high threshold. We should tolerate as much as we can to solicit and make ourselves available to the public. I don't think this is a good policy.
I don't think. Sorry.
Well, I think it also might be a violation of open meeting laws. Open meeting laws allow the public to film and record these sessions.
They could
How are they going to
turn
do
it
it if
on
you're
and do
taking
that
away
just
their
like that.
recording device? And if somebody's sitting there discreetly saying, texting because Suzanne or Ray are sitting there for a couple of hours waiting for the hiring committee update, and they have to say, well, I'm going to be late, it looks like it's running long tonight, or something like that, and it's not disrupting the meeting, I don't think we can. I think this is an unnecessary rule that sends the wrong message to the public.
Here's the other thing. The reporters today, they use that as a tool. They record, they type in it, they do everything. That the real question comes down to, I'm with you on this with the public meeting, public access and the rest. I think if somebody out there is blatantly talking loud or clicking and doing something to distract us, then it's your chair's responsibility to say, hey, take that outside.
And that's not the device. That's, I
The
mean, they
individual.
could be talking to each other loudly. I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
That's already covered.
It's a control thing to do with making sure that the activities that we're responsible for gets done. If they're interfering with it. That's separate than saying everybody can't come with a cell phone or anything else. And I think it's more of a standard policy under Robert's rules. If you're out of control with what you're doing out there, guess what? It's up to the chair to make that decision. It's not how do we as a board make a policy to tell people they can't use phones or they can't record us? Because I'm with you. I think it's totally against state law.
I think
Just ask people to be courteous.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that being the method and not and taking the word policy out, but making a request that if if you really need to communicate with someone, take it outside, or any of us can say I'm distracted by if someone's overusing, because we have had a couple of people in here who have been texting the whole time and there's reactions to it, and it's a lot. So if we can do it on a case by case and say this is distracting, and the chair can say,
And I think
okay, enough.
I think we need to be pretty tolerant of that, though. I mean, if people are texting, they're really not disrupting anything.
I'm usually pretty tolerant of people butting in and people doing things. I don't.
You've been
say-
tolerant of me in the
I
past.
think, but I do think I mean, I go to events at the school, funerals. I mean, you go to a number of events now. It's announced.
Theaters.
To please, silence your phone, put it away. If you can wait till afterwards or accept a call. I think a lot of that is common courtesy.
But I haven't heard any phones going off, and I haven't seen anybody talking on their phone in any of these meetings.
Well,
if they were, that's
They usually get up and
violating.
leave. They usually get up and leave anyway. So
And it's
they-
hard. And I know budget time. I pull my phone out and I'll use it as a calculator
Oh,
if we're
sure,
doing.
sure.
If we're and I think someone could easily think that you're texting. I mean, I think that's.
But you also hit on it too. I did reach out to the Secretary of State's office on this as well, and that's why I knew that it could be a violation of open meeting law to not allow the public to do it. But we shouldn't be doing it because now we are violating it. If I'm talking to Jenny on our phone and we're texting back and forth, we're actually having a meeting that's not on camera.
The biggest
And
thing though is
that's-
it's disrespectful.
That's
too.
a
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a violation.
disrespectful thing, I think.
Yeah.
It's a violation of the. Okay, so basically you'll leave it up to your chair,
Yes.
the person that's in charge at that time.
Great.
Okay. Readopt local emergency operations plan. This hasn't changed much from the last time.
No.
Okay, and Greg Odell, our emergency coordinator, has looked through it. We have to do this to be in conformance with state requirements. What's your pleasure, guys? You move I sign this, or
I make a motion to sign.
Second.
any further discussion?
Oh.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Sign right next to my name out through there.
Are you readopting?
Okay.
Yes, you can sign right there, it's fine.
If someone has a question, wants to view it, it's posted.
Yes. It's available, it's going right to the BCRC, that's where it's kept.
Okay. Okay, we're down to Town Administrator Hiring Committee. Candidate recommendation to the Select Board. On down.
I think we need to introduce our.
Yep.
Introduce
Mr. Chairman, Chair of the Hiring Committee, along with Ray Rodriguez. Karen couldn't be here tonight, but we also have Bob and Jenny. And we wanted to come to the board tonight and let you know where we stand on our hiring committee. And we're ready to give you 3 candidates for the full select board to review and interview. But I think to do so, we'll have to go into an executive session. But before we do, I'd like to thank everybody who worked so hard. We had a great group of people. It was a great committee. Everybody worked well together. We had 22 candidates. We interviewed 9. We had some very, very well qualified candidates. We were impressed, and we hope you will be too.
Okay. So you're not just handing us envelopes tonight, you're actually going to discuss these candidates
Yes.
with us? Okay, then I'll take a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Motion to go into executive session, personnel.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll have the committee stay and the select board.